This episode of the Run Iowa podcast, episode number 98, is brought to you by RunIowa.org, where you can advertise as well with us right here on the podcast with your services or equipment or anything running related. Right now with us during the podcast and on our website, you can contact Rob or Dave at RunIowa.org. There's a contact sheet right there.
Awesome.
On with the show. All right, Dave, this is episode 98. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're coming up on episode 100.
We are.
We got to keep pushing this. This is great with episode 100 and getting Hal Higdon to come on, which is cool. Just real quick, I'm going to go off on a little tangent. We didn't talk about this in our pre-show meeting.
Right.
But we've had some cool guests on here.
We have.
Between like Bart Yasso, Hal Higdon, and our NCAA champions, Edward Kemboy, and Ernest Andrews, and
publishing editor for Runner's World,
Steve Cannon, and book writers and all these local guys, Cap Striders guys, and Dubuque Running Club guys and ladies, and just holy crap, we've had a lot of cool guests. Every single one of them is cool, except for when we're stuck with ourselves. Right. I feel like I'm disappointing people when it's just us.
Well, you're used to that.
I know. I'm used to. Ask my wife. Yeah. No. But no, we have a lot of cool guests and people that come on and talk about their events and what they're able to do and helping out other people. Josh Jorgensen's going to run across the state here in September, and he's starting here in Council Bluffs.
Right.
And so what a cool thing for him to run across and to raise money and awareness and tons of cool guests that are out there. If you know, by the way, this is a good pitch too. If you know somebody that should be on our podcast to promote something they want to do,
absolutely,
have them get in contact with us. RobRunIowa@gmail.com.
Yes.
DaveRunIowa@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us at RunIowa.org. On the contact sheet at the bottom of the page, Twitter, Facebook, however you want to get a hold of us, we can get a hold of you, or we can contact you. As I mentioned, I believe at the end of the last podcast, I have my email set up now, so I will make sure to see those emails and get back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a very cool experience coming up on 100 episodes, and yeah, we're slowing down a little bit for the summer and that kind of thing, but I don't think we're going to be stopping the podcast anytime soon.
No.
So lots of cool things happening.
Speaking of that, because we're going to do a list of things coming up. I saw on Facebook, I don't know who had it, top 5 running podcasts.
Oh, yeah? Are we on there?
We were number 7.
No, you're kidding me.
They only had the top 5.
Okay.
But reading through the research, I think we're number 7.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah, it was cool. I looked at the list, and some of them I had never heard of.
Right.
But I read their little biographies.
Yeah.
We easily could have been in the top 5.
Well, then we need to. I also did, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, and I don't know yet. But there is a podcasting.com awards thing, so maybe we should think about entering.
Nominate ourselves.
Nominate ourselves, and then you guys go out there and vote for us. I'll let you know.
Sounds cool.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll put it on social media.
Awesome.
Are you doing any online social media? I know June is a good month for the run chat hunt. Are you doing any fun things with your running right now while you're training for?
No, just running. I try to post on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah.
Do that, and then the people that I'm friends with, I use Map My Run.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's a group of us that are always watching out for each other and what we're doing and giving an encouragement. So that group of friends, and I should say that. So if there's a Map My Run techie out there that knows stuff, here's a thing about it, because it's social media,
right?
But you don't have a lot of ability to have conversations with your friends, so to speak. They get to track your running, and you can do it live or post results and that. And since I'm still raising money for Project Purple and doing that,
right? And
I have this group of friends in Map My Run. I don't have a way to reach out to them.
Oh yeah, okay.
And do that. So
you could run. Hold on, I got this.
Okay.
On your next run, say please donate. Spell it out in the city blocks that you're on. So
there you go.
It takes you 6 blocks to write a P.
Yeah, I'd have to really look at that, considering that there's like a huge golf course right in the middle of my neighborhood. I don't know if there's a big P around
right,
that.
yeah.
But
okay, sorry.
yeah, no, that would be smart. I never thought of that.
Well, you know.
You got me.
Yeah.
But there you go. So anybody who's Map My Run, I have not contacted Map My Run and saying, we should have
some sort of interaction.
Yeah, right, something so we could do that so people know what you're doing. They see what you're training and how you're doing.
Right.
But there's not really an avenue to reach out to your friends, because that's a group of people, unlike Facebook, where you have, maybe you have a couple hundred friends on Facebook and you say, hey, donate to this. And if they're not runners or anything, or they might not follow it every day. Sure. At least with Map My Run, it's like-minded people that are all doing the same thing. They're going out there and
I'm wondering if
and fitness and whatnot.
I use the Nike app just to log my runs. I really don't use it for a whole lot more, because I'll use my watch and it's the TomTom MySport thing. And then once it's on the MySport, then I'll upload it to Nike kind of thing. But I'm wondering if like Strava or any of the other sites that have those sort of things, you could do that. So, interesting. Let's talk a little bit. We're kind of in a potpourri, but we do have a guest coming on later this episode. I was reading, I want to say it was Runner's World, online, where I saw this pop up. And they have a list of running documentaries. And this is, with a little baby, I'm just watching a ton of Netflix right now. Right. And so I got done with a show or series or something, and I need something to watch. And I believe it was last summer, we talked about the Barkley Marathons documentary that was on Netflix. And then it kind of, maybe because I found it, I noticed it a lot more. It's like when you buy a new car, you always see all the other new cars on the road with you. It's kind of the same thing. I watched the Barkley's marathon documentary, and then all of a sudden I heard a ton about the Barkley Marathon documentary and the actual race, and I followed it on Twitter and all this stuff. But there weren't a whole lot of different types of running, marathon, ultra, that kind of stuff. Documentaries. There are a few, and we've talked about the ones that we know about on Netflix, and that's the only service I currently have is Netflix. I don't have the Amazon Prime. I don't have Hulu, that kind of stuff. But that being said, Runner's World put out a list of the top running documentaries. It just came out on June 9th, or just came out, but it came out on June 9th. And you can find it on Runner's World, and they give a list of a few of these. And do you have these up too with you? I do. So the first one that they talk about is Boston, the documentary, which is talking about the 121st, or excuse me, it talks about the tragedy in 2013.
And I've seen this.
You've seen this one? Okay. And so that one's out there. And then, of course, the Barkley, The Race That Eats Your Young, which is on Netflix, is out there.
Yep. Great documentary.
I love that one. I liked it. Yep. And it was, I thought
it's really fun to watch.
The only other one on Netflix that I saw on this list, and I'll post this list on RunIowa.org in our show info button, was the one Gun Runners. Now, I have it queued up. I haven't watched it yet, but just a quick synopsis of it. Two Kenyan runners were countryside warriors, and they wanted to focus on running instead.
Okay.
And so it's queued up for me. I haven't watched it yet, so
that's cool.
That one seems pretty interesting. But the other ones, Spirit of the Marathon is on Amazon. Right. 50 the movie talks about 50 mountain marathons over 50 peaks in 50 days.
Right. Crazy.
That seems nuts. That one you just go to their website to purchase or find. Which is listed on this Runner's World article. Made to be Broken by Carl Metzer. Right. He's an ultra runner. That one looked I really wanted to watch that one. It's a Red Bull sponsored event. Right. And so I really wanted to see that.
Trying to break Jurek's Appalachian Trail record.
When did he set that? He set it in 2015. Yep. And so this was just recently then? Yeah. I haven't looked at all of that info yet. Free to Run is on Amazon. Some of the subjects include Prefontaine's mark on the running scene, situation New York Marathon after Hurricane Sandy, growth of women's running after Catherine Switzer ran Boston. So that's a good one. Like that to me would be one I would watch as well. And then this one, the next one is called Showing Up. And this one piqued my interest only because it's a documentary on YouTube and it's short.
Okay.
So there's a couple of like, ooh, I could easily watch this one, and
right.
I just haven't yet. But the last one that's on here is Desert Runners. I think I watched this one. No, I didn't. Sorry, I'm reading the description.
Right.
It's on Amazon. It's watching runners go through excruciating pain, 4 desert ultras.
I've seen some clips of this one, and it looks fascinating to watch.
Actually, I have seen this one.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix.
I believe you.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this, and it was on Netflix. One guy gets really, really, like, he has to go to the hospital pretty severe. I feel as though I've seen this one. I'll have to go back and look at that one. But so that one was pretty good. But that's it. And the point I want to make is that was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? Okay, so that was 12 running documentaries. We need to have more running documentaries, yeah. I feel. As somebody who talks about running, as somebody who likes to run, I like to watch other people suffer. But I thought, wouldn't that be interesting? And I'm sure there are. And gosh, I don't want to put anybody out on a limb, but I feel as though somebody we know is currently doing one, a documentary about a certain race that they just set up, and I feel as though that's happening here in the state of Iowa.
I believe you.
So, that being said, I want to see more documentaries. If you're a creative person, get out there and make something. As an educator, I'm a huge believer in people making stuff.
Absolutely.
That's why I do this podcast. We do this podcast is because there's not anybody else in the world doing a podcast about running in the Midwest or specifically Iowa.
Right.
And it's filling a need for at least our little group of people and people outside of Iowa and the Midwest, and hopefully, we've said it before, worldwide, are getting something out of this podcast. But go make something. Go make a short 10-minute documentary about the next race you're in, and your training that's leading up to it, and that sort of thing. And even if you have zero video experience, there is equipment out there today, including your phone, that can do a majority of the work on.
I think of that commercial that's for some tech, that the kid jumping on a pogo stick in his backyard on the platform.
Yeah.
And he's doing boom, boom. And it's about posting his video of him out there in the internet. And I don't know if it's a phone ad or whatever, but that's so true that we have students here. One of my tennis players he's a blogger, a gamer.
Yeah.
And he posts stuff on a blog and on YouTube about all these games that he does. And he's got like 50,000 followers. It's crazy.
Well, let's do this. Let's make it a challenge. Let's make it a Run Iowa challenge.
No doubt.
If you make a documentary about your running experience, whatever that may be, and you have your, let's say, iPhone, and you have iMovie on your iPhone, or if you're more technically inclined than that and can do more things with it, create a short documentary. I don't care how long short is. That's just like if I run a long time, that's different for me and Dave.
Right.
So make a short documentary and share it with us on YouTube or whatever, and we'll throw it on our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll share it with the world.
Right.
So, and we won't even take any money from you.
No.
We'll just share your story.
Yeah.
So I love that idea.
That's great.
We should do that more often. But yeah, if you
have good ideas.
Yeah, have good ideas. If you have a video, share it with us, and we'd be happy to get it out there and get more people looking at running videos. And hell, we should probably make one.
We should.
So let's do that. All right, that's it for this segment here. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk here with the race director of the Springville Extreme Quarry Run. This is Joel Rochleau, and he is that race director. The race is coming up on August the 12th.
My birthday.
Your birthday. Hey, happy early, late birthday, depending on when you're listening to this.
All right.
And so we're going to talk to him about his race and what's going on with that in just a moment.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll be right back on episode 98 of the Run Iowa podcast. And welcome back to the Run Iowa podcast. On the line with us now is Joel Rochleau. Joel Rochleau. I told you I'd butcher it, even though we just said it, Joel. I apologize. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, Rob and Dave. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well,
too. Not too bad. A lot better now that we're rolling here in the middle of summer. This episode's going to air probably the first week of July, just so you know, Joel. And it's been a nice warm one out there. Normally what we do when we get started with interviews, though, is talk about your running history. So let's talk, before we get to speaking about the Quarry Run, let's talk a little bit about your running history. How did you get it started? What really led you into your running or love for running or hatred for running?
I'll be happy to. I actually took up running late in life, in my late 30s. When I was growing up as a kid, I despised running. I was not much of a runner at all. And what ended up happening while I was dating my wife about 6 years ago, she was training to do her second full marathon, the Chicago Marathon, in the fall, and she decided to put a friendly wager. We're both Iowa State grads.
Hey,
However,
all right.
I grew up I grew up a Hawkeye fan, so I've always cheered for the black and gold, even though I graduated from ISU.
Sure.
And so we put a little wager on the Iowa State football game in 2011, and unfortunately for me, Iowa State won the game, and so the bet, but I needed to run a 5K. And at this point in my life, I could probably barely run 2 blocks, city blocks. So anyway, trained, eventually led up to cashing in on the bet, and ran the Cedar Rapids 5th season 4th of July race in 2012, and actually did the 8K, and I finished that race with her, ran the whole 5 miles and almost 5 miles, and was glad to be done with that. But in training, I started getting some weight loss, and eventually over time, I actually lost about 40 pounds as I've gotten into my running career. And so after that race, the 2012 football game comes along, and guess what happens again? We decide to, my wife suggests another wager, and if Iowa State won again, so the bet was a half marathon.
Oh, nice.
So in six weeks, I worked my way up from running a maximum of 5 miles up to 13 miles, and ended up doing the Des Moines half marathon in October that year, and finished, ran the whole 13.1 miles, and I guess at that point you could say I got the bug. And
right.
Since then, as being as competitive as I am, I've continued to strive to get faster, as all us runners do, and been able to, I've completed, I believe, 18 half marathons now, and I've done 2 full marathons. Got to do the bucket list of my life last year. I got into the New York City Marathon.
Oh, nice.
Great.
And was able to compete in that in November. And so now I'm actually just started training for my 3rd full marathon. I'm doing the Lakefront Milwaukee Marathon on October 1st. So I guess between those different distances, I've gotten into being involved in ran over 50 races, and I've also gotten involved with our local corridor running board, and I've been on that board as well, and that also kind of led me to get involved with creating a race in Springville.
Well, talk about that transition and how your connection with Corridor really got you going with the Springville race, and then we'll talk about the race here as well.
So basically, we kind of got into a little bit of creating of the race itself. I'm actually a banker here in Springville, and we had RAGBRAI come through in 2012, and saw a lot of people just jump on, coming through Springville for the day on the one-day ride from Cedar Rapids to Anamosa. We had a lot of people from Cedar Rapids area that came through Springville, and Springville's about 7 miles east of Cedar Rapids,
okay.
10, 15-minute drive from downtown, and we had a lot of people come through Springville, and they hadn't been in town here before, even the Cedar Rapids area. So it was kind of clicked an idea that maybe we need to create an event. I know a lot of local towns have little 5K races, and so I thought it'd be a great idea to create an event here in Springville and try to not only obviously our Springville community support it, but get some people from out of town to find out what Springville's all about. But through Corridor Running, actually, I think you had a past participant or past guest with Iowa Running, Jim Dwyer, and also we've got another local running store in town, Chris and Brian Tharp from We Run, and I consulted with them on just how to organize a 5K race, and through that, as well as races that I've participated in, just kind of, I guess I could say this is kind of dumb luck with how we've organized the race, but just kind of took just things that we saw at other races and tried to incorporate it into our own race.
So Dave and I, a couple of years ago, I guess, tried to organize our own race around Council Bluffs, where we're from. And it didn't quite do exactly what we wanted to, but it was definitely a great learning experience for us, and we learned a lot from doing it. One thing that I think you mentioned, and I don't want to take anything out of context, is you didn't really have a run for your town, so you kind of wanted to get one started. Is that something, do you think, anybody could do?
I think you can organize a race. I think it just depends. I think anybody can. I could say I didn't think I could organize a race, so I would say if you've got the drive, the goal, the ambition, the vision, you've got the support of the community, I think you can organize. You definitely can organize a race. I definitely would encourage it. I know there's a lot of races. We're fortunate here. I know in the Cedar Rapids area, it seems like we have a race of varying distance in every weekend. But
Yeah.
I tell you what, we've got such a strong. I know I've got friends in the running group that, they're running every weekend if they can. They're running a race somewhere.
Sure.
So I definitely, if you've got the drive and the vision, and Kyle, I'll tell you, I guess a little backstory of how we created the race here when you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I talked to another running buddy in Springville, and we were sitting around at the local high school football game by the concession stand one night in the fall, and we're like, we need to get a 5K race here in Springville, and I think, that would be great to bring, something different. All these communities have it, and he's like, yeah, we should do that. And so actually we created a community of 4 of us. 3 of us are runners, and one was the non-runner of the group, and he was actually the local Methodist pastor, but he was very active in the Springville community in various events. And so we decided to create the Springville 5K race originally. And the previous year, there have been a lot of these mud runs and obstacle course races that started becoming popular, the Tough Mudders. We have a local, the Squaw Creek Army Challenge race that had happened the year before. And the non-runner of our group, named John, and the Methodist pastor here in town, said, what we should do? We should try, there's the quarry right next to Springville, the Wendling Quarries. And they have this tunnel that they actually own both sides. They have property on both sides of the highway that goes by Springville, and there's a tunnel that goes underneath it that they have the dump trucks go through to get to either side of the quarry. It'd be cool to run down the quarry and go through the tunnel. And it was just kind of a crazy idea that, we thought it probably had a 5% chance of the quarry agreeing to it due to a lot of the safety standards and regulations they've got to follow. So,
sure.
Not knowing where to start, I just called the local number here in Springville and at the quarry, and it's like, hey, I'm Joel from the Springville 5K group, and before we get what I'm calling you about is I have this idea, and the guy stopped and interrupted me and just said, I know what you want to do. You want to run to the quarry, don't you? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do you know before you say no, do you know who I could talk to about it to see our vision? And he's like, yeah. And so we led me to 2 gentlemen by the name of Mark Whitman and John Culper, who are safety directors for Wendling Quarries. And we visited with them, and I said, hey, before you say no, just hear my idea out. And thankfully, they bought into the vision about how it would be a great thing. It's going to be only unique race that we found in Iowa. I know we found, I think there's several others in the United States that we kind of stumbled across Google on them one day. And,
sure.
He said, it's a great win-win for them. The quarry was actually very much about educating what they do. If we could get beyond what their safety requirements are with obviously going into a quarry and the potential of, any hazards coming, if we can get past those, we can make this work. So
sure.
Thank God to John and Mark from the quarry, because if they didn't say agree to it, to our vision, our race would not have the uniqueness it is. Now, the other thing that became unique about it when we decided to map out the route is the race itself starts in downtown Springville and then goes out into the quarry, and then you actually go down into the quarry, go through the tunnel, which is kind of cool just to run through. And that's the only time of year anybody can go through that tunnel unless you have a hard top hat on or you're in a hard top vehicle.
Okay.
So that's the only day they allow you to do that. They don't let visitors go down through there, and so go down in the quarry and you come back up. And our distance that for it to really work out had to become a 6K. So it's actually known as Springville Extreme Quarry Run 6K. So people ask us, why is it a 6K? It's just how the route worked,
Sure.
So,
well, if you don't mind, I have a quick question on that. And I love the distance thing, because we've talked about, people don't just always want a 5K or 10K. Let's find something unique. So that's cool. But does the quarry then, I'm assuming the quarry is an active quarry, it sounds like, and they're still digging and doing everything there. So do they have to stop? Obviously they would have to stop.
No, Rob.
Yeah, I hope so. But they have to stop production. But do they, I don't want to, let's see, how do I ask it? Do they lose out on a day of work, or is it just happen to be there's nobody there anyway, so they just make sure everything's safely running smoothly for you guys?
So they actually shut the quarry down on a Friday afternoon, and spent half the day Friday getting the quarry prepped. And then in the summertime, they're I'm typically open on Saturday, so they actually shut down for business for basically 24 hours from Friday afternoon to Saturday morning. And they actually, I commend them a lot. They don't just sit there and like, here's the stop business, here you go and run. They actually have spent time and manpower to actually grade the route out.
Oh, nice. Okay.
As nice as possible. And depending on where they're doing work in the quarry itself, over the years we've had to vary the inside down and the bottom of the quarry route just slightly, but we've always maintained to keep it at that true 6K distance. And trust me, I've got a couple running friends in Cedar Rapids that they let me know if that thing's off even a tenth. So.
Right.
What's the elevation change like, or how deep is your quarry that you guys are running?
That's a good question that I've never actually mapped, and I actually had somebody from San Diego, California, call me or email me last year about that.
Oh, nice.
He was going to be in town for Iowa City, or he was going to be in Iowa City for something with the university, and he signed up and wanted to know that. I'm like, I'd never tried to map it out, but it's about I'm going to guess about a 200-yard drop down into the quarry. And when we talk about the extreme portion of the race, some people worry about if it's muddy or you got obstacles or what's the extreme part. The extreme part is actually going up. Once you go down into the quarry, you got to come up the quarry. So the extreme part is going up a pretty good steep hill, which last year we actually created a race within the race. We called it the King and Queen of the Hill Challenge, and so we actually put timing maps at the bottom of the quarry and at the top of the quarry. And I think the men's winner got up there just barely over a minute, and the women's fastest was not too far behind. It was kind of unique because actually the overall winner last year in the men's was not the same person that won the Hill Challenge, but the ladies' winner was the same one. So that was interesting. You see somebody, actually on men's side, the top four of the Hill Challenge, I think they sandbagged until they got to the hill and tried to sprint out it. So.
Sure.
But it's a pretty good, going down and going up, but you kind of got to watch yourself a little bit. You could, if you did hit a loose rock, I suppose you could slide. But fortunately, knock on wood, this is our 5th year of the event, and we've not had any injuries or had any problems. So.
Let's get some details. The race is on August the 12th this year. What else can you tell us about getting signed up and that sort of thing?
So you can go get signed up a couple of ways. We do have a website that you can go to. Just Google Springville Extreme Quarry Run. You can find our website. On the website, it has links to both get me registered and also has the paper entry form. So the one thing we pride ourselves on a lot is trying to create an affordable, family-friendly event. And we've always tried to keep our entry costs to a minimum. And fortunately, the way we can do that is we've just had great sponsorship support that allow us to keep the cost down. So this year, we through July 9th, the cost, we wait till July 9th. After July 9th will be our first $5. It'll be a $5 price increase. So right now with the shirt, our cool shirt, which you got to check out the shirts because we've got kind of a hard rock logo themed shirt. And if you go on the website, you can see that. And we actually call it this year it's the Springville Extreme Quarry Run, the original Hard Rock Run, Volume 5 this year. So with the shirt, $25, and we do offer no shirt options, only $15. So, that's price is good through July 9th. After that, it'll go up $5, and it'll stay at that level until the day of the race, which we do have race day sign-up. We do offer race day sign-ups, so that's an extra $5. But, I think one of the things our committee has prided itself on, you see, a family of family of 5, the parents and 3 kids, that, you put 5 of you out there, it can get quite expensive. So we definitely wanted to keep it as promoting wellness and fitness and make it something where a family can afford it. And, and it's just been a great event. And we actually every year use it as a fundraiser for various causes. This year, for an example, we're actually, the Springville Community School District is building a new elementary school, and one of the things that they needed to separately fundraise for was actually new playground equipment. So the funds that we've raised will go towards the Springville Playgrounds Fund. In the past, we've raised anywhere from about $4,000 to $5,000 for various. We committed to a trails project here in Springville a couple of years ago, and it's just been it's been a great event. And we also have a Facebook page as well, so you can definitely find pictures of the past races and the quarry itself. And we also do, it's not just a run, it is a walk. It can be a walk as well. So we do, your non-runners that just want to walk down into the quarry, you definitely more than welcome to do that.
I was going to say that's kind of a neat experience in itself, just being able to go into the quarry and
cool.
Check it out that way.
Yeah, and getting back to one of the coolest things is we have people that, the coolest thing is about it too is just hearing the stories, coming from a race director's perspective and talking to people that want to organize a race. The coolest thing is just, people that come from, we've had people come away as far away as Florida, just hearing the story of why they showed up in Springville, Iowa to run a race for the day.
Right.
And, I can specifically remember 4 years ago, there were 4 ladies that in Tella, Iowa area that their husbands worked in quarry industry, and they aren't runners, but they saw our race and on the web and came to find out what it was about, and they walked, all 4 of them walked it, So those are the cool stories to get them come in for the day, and we've been, it's been just a worthwhile. So it's definitely been a regional event in the corridor, the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area. So, that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever, come up with. I tell people, if you got a crazy idea, don't just get discouraged because it's a crazy idea. Because we had 4 guys that didn't know what the heck they were doing, trying to organize a race, and now we're going on 5 years, and it's been an amazing thing to do.
Well, very cool.
That's awesome.
We can do the search for Springville Quarry Run, Extreme Quarry Run on online. You can also find information. We'll link to it on our website at runiowa.org as well. You can find it in the show information for this particular episode as well. Joel, I have one last question for you. It's typical that we ask our guests this. What is one of the most extreme things or funniest things or most embarrassing things that you've ever seen while out on a run?
Wow, that's
to put you on the spot, no pressure.
That's a good one. I can't think to say. I've definitely seen in some races. I've definitely seen. You see a lot of different costumes of people.
Oh, sure.
That's probably one thing. My gosh, that's a good one. I'd have to think on that one. I will just say, I'll kind of go more on one of the coolest things. Like I said, doing the New York City Marathon last year was just an amazing experience. I was lucky to get into the lottery, and it's definitely something everybody should try to do. You definitely see a lot of things there, and probably one of the coolest things is you just feel like a rock star. I'm just some slow white kid from Iowa, but
right.
I've probably seen a few things on the run that I probably can't mention.
Right, I hear you.
We've been there too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again. We appreciate it.
Joel, I'm hoping to see you August 12th because that's my birthday.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm looking for a run to do. So if I can convince my wife to let me drive on to the other end of the state, I'll see you August 12th.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
You bet.
No problem.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Joel. We appreciate it. All right. All right, it's time now for the of the weeks. Dave, you're up first with race
tips.
We just talked about this too.
Tips of the week. This is from bodyshootperformance.com. It's 7 tips to train more efficiently. Since we're done with school, one of the last things I did in one of my physical science classes, we're doing a unit on motion, work, and stuff, and we talked a lot about efficiency and how a person or how anything, machines or whatnot, can be more efficient, and the amount of savings you get from being efficient and smart. So that's what led me to these tips, and I was doing a little research. So here are 7 tips to be a more efficient and effective trainer. And sometimes less is more. So come up with a plan. You don't always have to go out and log the grueling miles. As long as those miles have meaning to them, you are more efficient in how you're using your mileage to be to have the best training you can. So we've talked about it before, and we hear it all the time. There are a lot of runners that run a lot of miles,
Sure,
and they're very meaningless in actually helping them to achieve a goal. So in doing that, sometimes less is more. You don't always have to run those super huge running days if what you're doing is efficient and effective into doing that. So you're trying to build mental and physical endurance, and you can do that a lot of different ways. Successful marathoners can do it without running 5 times a week. Your body will probably thank you if you can train and not have to run 5 or 6 times a week.
sure.
Personalization. Having a training plan that's customized to you, that's helping you reach your specific running goals, will always be better than just following something off the internet. And I know that, we have a guest coming up who's an expert in training, and even he would tell you that you have to be able to personalize what you're doing to get the most out of it. And it says personalization will help you achieve a minimal risk of body injury, boredom, peaking too soon, and giving up because it's too much like hard work. And that's what the personalization will do that. Same with intelligent recovery. Have a planned out system to recover post-race, post-training, and that meet your needs. Always taper. Having a good taper is important. And then the one I thought was key, which you and I don't follow, remove the disruptors, the things in life that get in our way. And it's not necessarily daily life stuff. Avoiding disruptors such as excess sugar, alcohol, nicotine, prolonged stress. All of those will help us optimize our health span and our training, and that. Vitamin D3, the sunshine feel-good vitamin. Always check your D3 levels in September and March to know how you're doing so that you can take supplements. It's recommended about 500 IUs per day. So if you're not getting enough sun in the winter months and you feel sluggish and stuff, you should be taking some vitamin D3. I know
Sure.
I get my physical every fall, and even after a summer of being out playing golf, doing stuff when I should have the highest D3 levels, my D3 levels are low. So I try to take D3 supplements. I don't always do a good job about it, but I can tell when I am. And then plan your holidays around what your running schedule is. So if you're going to take a vacation, you want to go to the, up to the northwest part of the country, plan it around a running event so you have that increased motivation that, hey, not only am I getting to go up there to run, but I'm going to spend an extra week seeing the sights, doing all the fun stuff pre or post race, however it is. So there are 7 tips to be more efficient and effective in your training.
Cool. And you can find a link to that website on our website at runiowa.org.
Yep.
Scroll down to the show information right down by the podcast itself. If you're listening to the podcast from the website, then you know exactly where I'm talking about.
Awesome.
Okay. My turn for the race of the week. And this is one of my favorite races. I ran this, I think I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast. This was one of the very first races I ever ran before I ever started running, if that makes sense. It was before Nicole really got me into running. Right. It was with my before Nicole person. And it's the Bix 7, though. It's a great run. It's a 7-mile run in Davenport. This year's race is on July the 29th. It's Bix number 43. And Quad City Times is a big part of that. They're the promoting sponsor. But you can still get registered. The current cost right now is $48. You can go to bix7.com for information. It is obviously a big race. If you're on the east side of the state, you already know about Bix 7. If you're not on the east side of the state or you've never heard of it, it's one of the larger races in the area, and it's a fun 7-miler that sucks and is awesome at the same time.
Cool.
So You can find all that information, bix7.com, or go to our website again, runiowa.org. We'll have the information there in the show. You can order a shirt. You can get a whole bunch of cool stuff. They have elite runners and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Cool.
Sounds like a blast.
All right, we'll be back in just a second to wrap things up on episode 98 of the podcast. Last thoughts here before we get going?
No, I hope everybody's having a good summer out there running.
Yeah, this episode is going to air probably just after July 4th weekend. So probably that week. So you're probably in a hangover maybe.
Right.
And maybe took a break or something over the long weekend and you're getting back into it. So hopefully your training is going well.
And enjoying the heat of the summer.
That's right. Dave and I were talking a little bit earlier too about, you're Dave. So we were talking a little bit earlier too about having different ideas for the video thing as well. We talked about it earlier in the first segment. Maybe doing a running journal if you like your running journal. Maybe you're starting a plan here soon, or you have a fall race coming up, or you just need motivation and you want to document it somehow, and you want us to help publish your video. Shoot us an email, and we'll work with you. We're looking for running documentaries. If you want to produce something yourself, or if you want us to help in
That'd be great.
If you want to do just a journal once a week and just video yourself, how are you doing, that sort of thing, we will be happy to post some of your content online and just kind of conglomerate a whole bunch of different people's perspectives on our website. So that's something that we'll take a look at and start to think about.
That'd be fun.
Cool. I know there are and I'm not trying to say we're doing this or that, but I know a lot of newspapers recently started doing like mommy blogs, right? And
fun.
Yeah, and so they have a whole bunch of different moms post blogs about how they're doing in their processes of their babies and stuff like that. A lot of cities do this, right? And so the papers will host them a lot of times. And maybe we can start doing something similar to that. So keep an eye out for that. If you have ideas, get in contact with us. You know the ways.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, that's it for episode 98 of the Run Hour podcast.
Happy trails.
Happy trails to you until